This has become a bit of a yearly tradition, kind of a way for me to update you on what the best options are for starting your podcasting career. This is going to include everything from the basic entry-level recording options all the way up to the ridiculous or professional options, I guess. Now, that top tier is more to just ooh and ah at, but of course, I do know many people out there want to start with the best possible setup, so that might be just for you. Of course, almost everything in this video is going to be linked in the video description. Do know those links are affiliate links and they go a long way to supporting this channel. However, if you don't like the idea of helping me feed my family, you can find all of this through a simple Google search. Also, happy days, we have a whole new God tier level, so stay tuned for that. So with all that out of the way, let's start with the caveat. And that caveat is all podcasts in 2026 should have video. It's seriously on the mind of every big podcaster right now. And if you want a leg up on the competition, video's the way to go. And it doesn't necessarily mean videos of full episodes, but it does mean you should be recording video when you're recording the episode so you can at least repurpose some of it. However, I will say this, lose the concept of static image with the audio playing over top. It's not video, and video platforms like YouTube do not play well with it and eventually stomp it out of the algorithm. But in case you're already sweating at the idea of needing to buy a camera, don't worry, you already own one. Your phone will work great, especially as you start out. And if you're thinking of just repurposing video for socials, you can shoot in either portrait or landscape. Just make sure you hit record and you're shooting. Again, this is your chance to stand out against some of the giants in the industry as they try to figure out video for themselves. This is a great chance to get a leg up on some of them. Now, looking at entry level, we do have a few options here. First up, I get it. Starting a podcast can be expensive. But if you're starting out and just need to get your voice recorded, just get something like one of the ridiculously cheap mics from Mono or Fifine. By no means is this an endorsement of the products, especially their quality control, but they work great for someone just starting out and learning the basics. However, I do need to warn you that anything bought of that ilk are not long-term solutions. They're great for getting started at a massive discount, but don't assume they're going to last too long. If you are a two-person podcast, however, probably my best advice is to get the Rode Wireless Micro. Now, you can get these for about $100, and honestly, along with the software that Rode offers for recording both audio and video, these things pack a hell of a wallop. And I know there are some people out there that prefer other name brands, but the big selling point with these is the software. Rode does a great job offering free options for getting your content packaged up and looking great. And if you're worried about the sound quality of the audio that comes out of them, I recently did a video that takes the sound from boring to amazing. So with that in mind, let's go from this kind of audio to this kind of audio. You can check out that video up here. Okay, so let's say you saved up a few pennies for this venture. This is a great chance to buy something that not only works great, but this is where stuff starts to have proper resellability for either the time that you give up on your podcasting dream, which happens, or if you decide to upgrade down the road. If you're a solo host and just looking to get audio into a DAW, still my recommendation sits with the Rode Podmic USB. This thing is great for starting out as a USB mic with all the bells and whistles that come along with the Rode brand, like Aphex and built-in DSP in general. And when you're looking to upgrade your setup to have an interface, well, this thing works as XLR as well. So no need to upgrade your mic as well as everything else. And honestly, these mics are awesome and they come in a bevy of color options as well. Now, if you're looking to start a multi-person podcast, last year I recommended the Zoom P4, and honestly, that hasn't changed much. The P4 is still an amazing beast to get up to 4 people talking, and it can also work as an interface as well as being portable. It is unmatched for price to performance. There's nothing better, not even close, unless you consider its upgrade, the P4 Next. Now, I just got hands-on with this, and I do have a review coming out for it, so definitely stay tuned for that and get subscribed so you don't miss anything. This thing basically brings the P4 up to 2026 standards with some bells and whistles. However, the one thing really separating the P4 and the P4 Next here is the sample rate and the bit depth. The P4 is 16-bit 44.1 sample rate. The P4 Next is 24-bit and 48 kilohertz. Now, why does this matter? Well, without droning on about specs and such, the P4 Next is way better equipped for video. Let's just say that. The P4, however, is still a great option if you're just starting out, and you can find them relatively cheap on the used market as well. Along with all that, I do have to give a decent runner-up shout out to the Rodecaster series from Focusrite. That is, if you can find them cheap. The Rodecaster 1 and 2 are great, but possibly slightly limiting over the long run. But if you can get them at a super cheap price, much like the P4, they are unparalleled price to performance beasts. And next up is relying on the beasts of days gone. We're talking about the original Rodecaster Pro, which surprisingly you can still buy new in some places, but also you can really find these things at a great price used. And yes, they stand up in 2025. Do you want to see a video of me proving that they can stand up in 2025? Let me know down below, because I think I can get my hands on an OG Rodecaster Pro. Now, the only drawback to them, though, is gain, meaning if you're going for an SM7B setup, you might be struggling to get the output you want for live work. Otherwise, they're still powerful enough to take you to the next level of podcasting and still sell strong in the used market. In fact, I know of several big podcasts working full-time and making full-time money with the original Rodecaster Pro. Now, one of my personal favorites is the Tascam Mixcast 4. Cheaper than the original RCP, but I actually kind of liked it a little bit better overall, and that came down to the gain difference, with the Mixcast 4 offering just over 66 dB, making it perfectly fine for using that fabled SM7B. Now, next up, let's switch over to the Rode Podmic, the original. Now, as for microphones in this section, this is the awesome part. If you're rocking one of those older units, you can save a ton of money on microphones and just go with something like this, the original Podmic. They're super cheap, they look great, and with the onboard effects on any of those units, you can get some great sounds out of these microphones. I did a video on that as well. You can check that out up here if you want. Rode Podmic processing on, Rode Podmic processing off. But this section has a couple of cautions. First, don't get carried away in this price point on more expensive microphones. That is something that matters less than you think. Get something that is serviceable and looks good on you. Remember, if it sounds good, no one has ever stopped listening to a podcast for the microphones you use. And the last caution is the larger pod track from Zoom, called the P8. Now, this thing felt way too short compared to the Rode and the Tascam options. The lack of usable specs really held it back, and the cost of it didn't do it any favors either. So definitely skip that one, even if you see it a little bit cheaper. Now, this is where I usually offer up the assortment of Rode products, as they are the cream of the crop. But this year, there is another level above this one, so stay tuned for that. But I also like to point out that anything beyond this tier, including this tier, is where you might want to start to make sure you're making money before you start dropping cash on this stuff. Now, it is getting cheaper and cheaper to do more and more for sure, but just if you're going to need any advice at this point, and if you're going to take any advice at this point, go look at all this stuff on the used market. The people selling that stuff are the people that aimed a bit too high with their budgets. So if you're not sure, don't start throwing money around before you have even hit record. Trust me. But if you're here for an upgrade, welcome, my friend. Things have changed a bit at the top here. Last year was the Rodecaster Video reigning supreme, but its smaller option is now taking over top spot. This, the Rodecaster Video S, is now the be-all and end-all of amazing podcasting gear. At the same price that you used to be able to buy a Rodecaster Duo, you can now basically get a Duo with all the video options that your heart desires. And with NDI support, the sky is literally the limit. Again, cheaper, but way more powerful this year. This thing is amazing, and considering the way podcasting is going with video, this is literally a no-brainer. Do you need more inputs? Well, you can get max 3 mics hooked up to this thing, 2 XLR and 1 USB. But if you need more, you can just grab a Rodecaster Duo and link it up, and there you go. This is literally the all-in-one, and there is nothing on the market that even comes close to this thing. Seriously, check out my review on it if you haven't seen it already. These things are legit the future of audio and video. Otherwise, well, the same stuff can be repeated, but it's all Rode at this point. Rodecaster Pro 2, Rodecaster Duo. As for the mics though, I can say the same thing as before about not bothering to spend large amounts on your mics, as with these units, the onboard processing makes all of that moot. But I mean, do what you want. Want a round of SM7Bs? Go ahead and spend the money. This is where you can basically do as you please, or at least as your wallet pleases, but I would still recommend something like the Podmic USB from Rode. However, if you are considering that SM7B approach, let's talk about that new tier of podcasting gear, the God tier. Now, this is where things start to get ridiculous. All that I said in the last chapter still pertains here, but with one massive add-on. Take any of those interfaces I just recommended and add this, the Angry Audio Smooth. Now, this is a microphone preamp and processing unit. If you missed my video, I will have it linked up here as well down below. It's meant to be used with this, the SM7B, but truth be told, you can use it with any microphone. There's also another unit called the Rebel from the same company, meant to pair with the RE series of mics from Electro-Voice. But if you're looking to take your sound from average to downright broadcast, this is it. It's a turnkey solution. These are actual broadcasting units that are intended to be used in actual broadcast studios. However, important to note if you're looking into this, this is not an interface. You still need an interface. And it only takes one microphone input. So if you have multiple people, you need multiple units. That all said though, I can say I've successfully converted some of the pretty big names into running these as their go-to on their podcasts. Check out the Generation Y podcast if you want to hear how that sounds. There's no post-processing needed. You just gain them up and go. It's almost magical. Again though, all this stuff is linked down below, and most of it is in fact affiliate links, so if you're looking to buy and you want to support the channel, that is a great way to do it. So cheers guys, and thanks for watching.